Hey, and your name, sir?
I'm Leo W. Burroughs, Jr.
And what's the name of the group that you're with, Leo?
Our name has changed as opposed to what's on the banner. We are the Maryland Coalition for BG&E, re-regulation.
And what was the purpose of the press conference today in front of the Public Service Commission office? Why are you here today?
Well, we're updating the public on the progress we're making, or lack thereof. Essentially, we're circulating a petition to the registered voters of the state of Maryland, calling on the governor and the president of the state senate, the speaker of the House of Delegates, and all state senators and delegates to immediately enact re-regulation legislation designed to return the standard offer service of Baltimore gas and electric customers to 2006 levels. More specifically, we're talking about a 4.7 cents per kilowatt hour for annual electricity generation. What will that do? That will cap the existing rates, that will lower the cost of monthly bills that consumers are being impacted on at this point, and basically give people an opportunity to breathe. Right now, as you know, deregulation is the order of the day, and that means they can charge us any amount of money they want, and that's essentially what they're doing. They're talking about going up 60 or 70% again next year. No one can afford additional increases. And although you hear a lot of talk about re-regulation, even from the governor, who's the biggest phony I've ever met, we're defining re-regulation to mean immediate relief for people who are impacted, and many of us are, by the extremely high cost of electric and gas services. And so we want immediate relief. We have called for a special session of the Maryland General Assembly, and they're telling us that they don't want to hold a special session of the Maryland General Assembly because it costs money. Well, it costs money for us to be ripped off to the extent that we're being ripped off. So in essence, it appears to us that the political establishment doesn't want to do anything to restore electric and gas services to the people who need it. We have thousands of people who've been cut off in this state, and thousands more are going to be cut off this winter unless we can build up a firestorm of resistance. And that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to involve the churches, people of all races and creeds and all religions, to understand the way you bring about change is you must advocate it. And you can't bring about change by accepting the status quo. And the status quo is the kind of tyranny that we're fighting against.
Now, the CEO of Constellation Energy,
Mayo Shattuck.
Do you have an opinion about what kind of job he's done the last few years?
Well, my opinion about Mayo Shattuck is that he does what is politically expedient. He's a big businessman that's looking out for the investors, for Constellation Energy and BG&E, and he doesn't give a damn about working people and poor people and senior citizens. So he earns a salary of $16 or $17 million a year. But in tough economic times, such as we're faced with at this time, his salary is not being reduced. He's not making an effort to help lighten the load on the rest of us who work hard and who care and want to eat and sleep and survive. And the same is true of the governor and most of your legislators. They're not taking a cut, not really. Not the kind of cut necessary. They're cutting the budget by $2 billion, as you know. They're cutting across the board. They're cutting everything but the Baltimore Zoo, from what I understand. That's the one entity. The Baltimore Zoo seems not to be getting any cuts at all. And I'm of the opinion that we're going to have to find a cage for Martin O'Malley and put him in a cage at the zoo. Apparently he doesn't care about people like ourselves. We're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore.
That's it.
Before
What's your last name for me?
B-U-R-R-O-U-S. O-U-G-H-S, Leo Burroughs Jr.
Now, Leo, there's this French company,
EDF.
EDF.
Yeah.
The Public Service Commission is considering whether or not they should be allowed to buy a piece of Constellation Energy. Well, how do you feel about that?
I don't care one way or the other about a French company purchasing Constellation Energy. I've heard one proposal which says that if the French company purchases Constellation Energy, they're going to give consumers, or they're proposing that consumers receive a 15% cost reduction. Well, that sounds good, but we've already had a 2% or 200, correction, a 200% increase. So 15% reduction amounts to nothing whatever. I mean, we're drowning in red ink as working people while the cost of electric and gas services continues to rise. So it has no real effect. What we want is immediate relief. We want the kind of re-regulation that we've defined it to be, which is in essence putting a cap on the existing cost, rolling back the price so that people can stay in their homes. People are losing their homes. Their homes are being foreclosed on. And they've got to make a choice between whether to buy medicine or to buy food, as opposed to whether they're going to pay the gas and electric bill. That's outrageous.
Now, the agency that regulates the BG&E and
it's the Public Service Commission.
They're called the Public Service Commission, but is there anybody from the public on that commission?
They are flunkies for the governor. The folks on the Public Service Commission are his appointees, and they do what he tells them to do. So, in essence, we've got a lot of puppeteering going on. More puppeteering than we need to have.
Anything else, Leo?
Not at this time. Not at this time.